So it's been about 2 years since I first decided to give up my smartphone. Basically, I was just on social media too much, namely YouTube. I would go to bed watching YouTube, wake up watching YouTube, fall asleep with Bluetooth headphones on. I needed YouTube to sleep. And I realized that this was probably not good for me because I was consuming content 24/7 and my brain is quite obsessive. So I really didn't have any time to just sit with my thoughts. And I wasn't doing a lot of the things that I used to do. Like, I used to write a lot more songs, and even just playing like a single player video game or sitting down and enjoying a movie or something. That wasn't happening anymore. I was just watching garbage content on YouTube 24/7. The phone was the big issue here. Well, obviously my mindset was the bigger issue, but the phone was the easiest thing. You can't exactly take a hammer, smash your mindset, and throw it out. So that's what I did with the phone. To make sure, I couldn't go back and use it again, I decided, like, I'm just getting rid of this thing. I'm going to break it, I'm going to throw it away, and I'm going to go back to a flip phone. So I headed over to Cricket Wireless, which is my provider of choice because they're really, really cheap. And I got the first flip phone I saw, which I think was like the Cricket Debut Flip or something. It was way overpriced. It was like $80-something, and it's kind of a piece of shit. But the whole point was I just need something that'll do calls and texts, and that's about it. Everything else, I don't even want to do it. So I overpaid for it because I wanted it that day, and that was that. And the first time trying to switch to the flip phone didn't really take, and I wound up back on a smartphone for a little while. But for the past 6 to 8 months, I got back on the flip phone, and I've actually been sticking to it. And at this point, it's not even like where you're counting the days anymore. Like, this is just my phone now, and I, for the most part, don't really miss the smartphone, except when I need it to do something. And that's kind of the problem that I want to talk about today. There's obviously, as I'm sure you know if you live in the modern world in any capacity, if you go to like school or work, or you need to use the GPS or a menu at certain restaurants, apparently you need a smartphone for some of that stuff. I can't GPS anything. I mean, I don't have any problem remembering like the routes I take every day and like looking up directions if I really need to get somewhere. But if I actually got stuck somewhere, or there was like construction and a detour and I couldn't figure something out, I would have to use my phone to very slowly Google directions. You can't really use payment apps, obviously. Like, I use PayPal, but I have to be at home for that, and I have to go to my desktop. So if you're trying to sell something on like Facebook Marketplace, like I do sometimes, it's hard to communicate that. Just cash, no Cash App, nothing like that. Some people don't like that. I like cash anyway, so I guess fuck them. Point is, there's a bunch of stuff you can't do unless you get like standalone stuff for it. Like, you can get a GPS for your car, but that's expensive, and that's another device to set up. If you want to listen to MP3s or whatever, that's a whole other thing I forgot about. Spotify. No Spotify. MP3 player, or luckily our car still has a CD player, so I just burn CDs, which I guess it makes you more appreciative of the music you're listening to, but it's another step. There are downsides to it, and I don't want to come across as like holier than thou, or like, oh, I gave up my smartphone, so everybody should give up their smartphone, or any of that stuff, because there are plenty of people who can use things in moderation and be totally fine. Honestly, they're probably stronger than I am because they don't have to completely cut something out of their lives to eliminate its control over them. They can handle using things in moderation, and that's cool. But there's a lot of people who are probably just as addicted to their smartphone as I was, and are not going to admit it to themselves because they like it too much and they don't think it's a problem, and they're still using that smartphone and it's still got control of them. And to those people, I would say, if it's absolutely possible at all to cut the smartphone out of your life, I know it's not possible for everybody, give it a try, because it's definitely enriched my life quite a bit. And I want to talk about some of the upsides now, after talking about some of the downsides. There are a lot. I think they outweigh the downsides, at least for me personally. So one of the big things is being present in the moment. That's like a generic thing. A lot of people talk about being present in the moment, and it's like, it seems like a pretty obvious one, but actually, like, I don't know, experiencing that and like living that now, it is a huge difference. I used to always have, like, every time you get like a random thought, or like you have a question, like, I don't know, how did they fight fires in 1652 or some shit like that, I'm like, I gotta Google that. Like, what's the history of firefighting? Like, I don't know, it's random stuff. It's like, that's cool and everything, but like, do I really need to know that right now? Like, when I'm hanging out with my girlfriend or talking to my family or something like that, do I need to pull out my phone, look up how they fought fires in the 1650s? No, I don't. Like, if it's actually an important thought, or if it's something I really am interested in and want to know and research later, I'll research it later. Like, it'll stick with me, So I used to make notes for like everything, or I'd have little tabs or screenshots that I wanted to Google later. And I don't know, you guys might have the same thing where like I would have like 1,000 screenshots of things that I would use as reminders. Well, when you have 1,000 screenshots that you're going to use as reminders, you end up just deleting those 1,000 screenshots later because, like, I'm not looking through 1,000 fucking screenshots and trying to Google the things in those screenshots. Like, I don't care. I don't care about that anymore. So it's all noise is what I'm saying is, like, none of this stuff's important, and there is such a thing as, like, way too much information. We have, like, an information overload, basically, and it just leads to, like, a lot of fatigue. When I have a smartphone, it's like, yeah, you can know anything, like, at the drop of the hat, you can look up anything, but how much do you really need to know? Like, back in the day, I feel like people get news, they get, like, their local news, there'd be, like, some world events, but the average person might hear about, like, I don't know, one tragic event in their hometown, and they could process that, right? They'd be like, oh, you know, somebody got hit by a car, that's awful. But nowadays, with the internet, like, you boot up your computer or your phone or whatever, and you got all these, I sound like such a boomer right now, but you got, like, all these TikToks and Twitter and, you know, all this shit, and it's like you're hearing about tragedy from all over the world. Like, you're hearing about a bunch of people who got hit by a car or shot, or, like, there was a shooting and such and blah blah blah, and it's too much for people to process. Like, a lot of people, like, I don't know, it makes it seem like the odds of bad things happening are higher than they are. If you're exposed to all this all the time and you just get overwhelmed. Like, you can't handle it. You can't process this stuff. I'm not saying you should isolate yourself completely and cut yourself off from the outside world, or, you know, be ignorant to what's going on around you in the world. But you can't care about everybody all the time, and you can't focus on every bad thing that happens or everybody that needs help all the time, or you will exhaust yourself and you will drive yourself crazy. And another big thing is everything I do as far as, like, media consumption now, or most things, I will still, like, sit at my desktop and kind of mindlessly scroll, but I have a $60 Walmart chair and it gets really uncomfortable, so I can only do that for so long. Everything I choose for the most part now is deliberate oh my god, it's a lot of mushrooms. Deliberate media consumption. So I have, like, a pretty decent sized VHS collection, DVD collection. You get these for like 50 cents or $1 locally. And I am back to, like, when I was a kid, we used to just go and, you know, you'd go see, like, something at a thrift store or used video shop, and you'd pick out a VHS tape just because, like, you like the little summary on the back or you like the cover or whatever. Well, now I'm back to that. Like, I can go to a thrift store or, like, my local half-price books or whatever and get something for 50 cents or $1. A movie I've never seen before. It might be terrible, I don't know, but I'm going to grab it. And, you know, I come home, I watch on my little tube TV and my little VHS, and it's so cozy. I don't really have the option to turn it off. Like, yeah, I can change the movie, but what do I have? Maybe 150 movies tops. And it's like, that may sound like a lot of movies, but that's a really limited choice compared to, like, a Netflix where there's thousands. And most of them are garbage, or, like, YouTube or whatever, where, like, you know, you could just flip to the next video. No, you kind of force yourself to consume it. Not all of them are good, but the whole point is, like, it helps your attention span, I swear to God. And also, you might find something really cool that you would have never discovered because you were too busy watching, like, the 30th bullshit political YouTube video. I don't know. It's enjoyable, and it gives me a kind of a purpose to consume this physical media and collect this physical media, which I love doing. Overall, the benefits have been great. I mean, I can feel myself just, like, it's so much easier to talk about the benefits than the downsides because there's so many more benefits. Like, I can feel myself getting, like, more hype. Like, I feel like I was fumbling my way through the first part of this video, and now I'm just like, oh shit, and then there's this benefit and this benefit, and honestly being more present in the moment. I can't even take pictures. That is one downside. I wish I could take pictures, but I don't have to mindlessly, like, take my phone out and take a picture of everything. Like, you know what I mean? If there's, like, an event that's actually important, I'll bring a camera or I'll bring a camcorder or something, and we can remember it, you know? Like, we used to have home movies growing up. There was a couple hours of mundane stuff, conversations, my grandparents talking, you know, and my mom talking, and just videos of us running around playing. And what do the kids have now? They got probably 2-minute clips, or their mom posted them on social media or whatever. And it's different now, right? Like, everything's, like, bite-sized now. The last thing I'll leave you with is probably the biggest boomer point of the whole video, but that's okay. I'm almost 28 now, so I'm aging and decrepit, and I gotta start complaining about the next generation because that's what you gotta do. Watching this generation use tablets at, like, 1 to 2 years old is just extremely, like, disheartening to me. I don't think that kids should be, like, cut off from all modern technology. It's important to, like, learn technology and grow with the technology, especially since they'll probably have to use this in their lives. But to see, like, the amount of mothers and probably fathers and everybody who just give their kids tablets at like 0 to 5 years old and just let them mindlessly scroll YouTube, even YouTube Kids or TikTok or whatever the hell they're doing, and then get mad when like something bad comes up on YouTube. Like I just saw a warning on Facebook. Somebody said like, oh, this crazy video is on YouTube Kids, and you know, this is horrible. I can't believe they would put that up there. They're missing the point. Like, yeah, that's bad. Report the video, all that, right? But don't trust a multi-billion-dollar corporation to be the arbiter of what your kid watches or doesn't watch. It's not YouTube's responsibility to keep your children safe, and even if it was, they're not going to do it. Like, I don't trust a multi-billion-dollar corporation to moderate all this stuff and make it so my kids can't watch stuff. If I'm a parent, and I understand parents are overwhelmed, and there's a lot of single parents, and they're working, and it's easier to give their kids a tablet than to like try to work the job and do all this other stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on now, and it's hard to moderate. I get that. I'm not discounting that. But at the same time, you are like ultimately the main line of defense for what your children watch and don't watch. And if you just give them a tablet with unfettered access to the internet, I think that's insanity. The time comes when I have kids, they're not getting tablets. They might have tablets they can use like we use with like family computers, where you had like supervised access, and you know what I mean, like you'd use it in the family room for an hour or two here and there, but you're not going to get unfettered 24/7 tablet scrolling mindless bullshit, because I've seen these videos and it's a fucking mess. Not all these videos are inappropriate for kids, but there's a South Park episode where they were watching Chimpokemon, and they said like, well, there's nothing inappropriate about this, and they're like, yeah, but it's like completely stupid, and that can be just as bad for as bad for a kid as something inappropriate. Anyway, that video was kind of all over the place. I quit nicotine like 4 days ago. I talked about that a little in my last video. So I don't know, I'm a little bit off. I'm a little bit off mentally, a little bit irritable and rambly, but we're getting through it. Sorry if I was a little all over the map, but I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you stay tuned for the next one. Gonna post some world updates soon. Peace out, Girl Scout.